This episode was recorded December 12th, 2025. A special election is just weeks away, and state Democrats are hoping to add one more seat to their ranks for the legislative session in January. I'm Nick Reagan, and today I'm sitting down with Democratic candidate Dr. Sonja Ogletree Satani on how she plans to win in District 98. This is We The Palmetto. We talked to Lowcountry voters. Trump was in true campaign form. Voting is officially underway. Joe Biden spoke here in the heart of downtown.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, I've got Democratic candidate for District 98, Sonja Ogletree Satani, with me here. First off, a big election coming up here in January, a special election, so it might be, I don't know if people are really paying attention, but that's why you're here, because you are looking to fill that seat left by Chris Murphy. Talk to me a little bit about just how you're feeling about the campaign right now.
But right now, I am excited. The constituents in District 98 are also excited about this. The momentum is going for both the Republicans and Democrats. So this year, special election has been such a huge surprise for me coming in to this race with so much support from both sides of the House. So I'm excited and ready to serve the people.
Well, I was looking at your resume, and your resume is loaded with things that suggest that you're ready to take on a leadership role up in Columbia, a former Air Force, professor, businesswoman. You've kind of done it all, and you've got, 4 or 5 degrees, a doctor, all this stuff. What is it with, you and education?
Well, education is important. And when we look at making sure that we have a workforce that's educated and ready, we need to make sure that we're bringing that here to South Carolina. And South Carolina has been at the bottom for several years. And it's time to raise the standard and to bring South Carolinians their work ethics, their education to a higher level than what it's been before. And we just have to have that common sense.
Now, we've talked a little bit about your background here, but what makes you the right person for the job? Why are you the candidate people should be voting for?
Sure. Well, first of all, I am the right and the best candidate that both Republicans, Democrats, Independents, whatever you choose your party to be. One, I am a wife, a mom of 3 children. All of my children have gone through DD2 public schools. I am a proud United States Air Force veteran, small business owner, and educator. So I've taught both public, private schools. I currently teach at ECPI University. So I'm bringing that wealth of knowledge and diverse skill set to the State House. We need common sense in the State House. We need to make sure that our platform focuses on our families and making a difference. So regardless of the committees that I'm assigned to serve, I'm willing, ready to bring that education, knowledge, and experience to the State House.
Now, this isn't technically a rematch by any means, but it's kind of a spiritual rematch here. In the last election, you went up against Chris Murphy, the incumbent at the time, lost by about 14 points, somewhere in there. This year, you're up against Greg Ford, who Chris Murphy beat in the primary last year. And so I say it's almost like a spiritual rematch here. There's going to be a big difference in Greg Ford versus Chris Murphy, but how do you make up those 14 points? And do you think your opponent matters in this race much?
So in order to make up those 14 points, it's making sure that people come out to vote, because that's the bottom line, the people at the polls. So December 22nd through January 2nd is early voting, and the election is January 6th. So what makes the difference? People coming out to vote. You have to be knowledgeable of when the time frame is. You have to have a plan, a voting plan. I would encourage everybody to come on December 22nd and 23rd, right before the holidays, because the polling will be closed during holidays and weekends. So you have your family members, children that are coming to visit from college. Take the whole family. Turn it into an opportunity to get to the polls and get it done. So that's how we can close that gap.
Yeah, it's kind of an awful time for an election, honestly. Early voting right in the middle of Christmas, New Year, and then obviously you've got the election shortly thereafter. I think it's like the 6th or something like that. people are distracted. And when you say, you've got to get your voters to the polls, I think that that's always like an easy thing to say because like obviously whoever gets their voters to the polls. But when we're talking about a turnout of anywhere from 2 to 9 to maybe 15%, I mean, it's got to be a low turnout. How do you mobilize your supporters?
Sure. So we have a coalition, a team of individuals that are on the ground that are making phone calls, that are door knocking, that are helping with that process. It requires funding. So, of course, if you want to donate to the campaign, I encourage you to do that. So we can have signs on the roads, but that's not going to get the voters to the polls. It's about having direct communication and access to those voters and encouraging them to come out.
This is traditionally, or at least in the last handful of elections, a Republican seat. Mm-hmm. But as we talked about, voter turnout will be low. And we have seen some surprises in special elections. Peter Smith, for example, in Dorchester mm-hmm. County, he took a county council seat from a Republican stronghold and a big Republican name as well. Do you think you can do the same thing? Does the special election level the playing field for Democrats?
Yes, I definitely think that I can do the same. One, I'm coming in with name recognition. Two, I have always been in the community even before running for office. So that makes a difference. Three, when we're looking at being able to work across the aisles, I have worked with both Republicans and Democrats. So there's nothing new that I'm going to be doing in the state house, and what I've done in the past is just a matter of making sure that we just get the job done.
Oh, this is one of the statements that's on your website. I believe it's in like your visions part. You say that your vision for the district is one where every individual has the opportunity to thrive regardless of background or circumstance. What does that mean to you in terms of how policy looks?
Sure. When we're looking at policies, number one, we have to look at the education. In the past, South Carolina has not fully funded education, and we need to make sure that that's there regardless of your zip code, regardless of your background. We need to make sure that every South Carolinian has an opportunity to thrive and to receive that opportunity. Last year they had deemed the law unconstitutional in terms of private school vouchers. However, we need to make sure that we have a plan in place, a responsible plan in place to make sure that families, working families, have the tools that they need. Second of all, when we're looking at the taxes, right, and taxes can get very complex, we can make sure that we are lowering the taxes for working families to keep more money in their pocket. As you know, groceries are expensive. Housing is expensive. So we want to make sure that we have policies in place so that way we have affordable housing, we have affordable health care, and that way it impacts all South Carolinians.
Well, you've sort of already touched on it, but what do you think is the biggest issue for District 98?
Currently, the biggest issue is the infrastructure. When we're looking at our roads, we want to make sure that even with that, we're fully funding. When we're looking at Dorchester Road, Trolley Road, Latson, it's just a complete mess right now. So we need to make sure that we have responsible budgeting, responsible planning for that infrastructure. There's a lot of new businesses that are coming in. So as a small business owner, we need to make sure that we have a growth, pace for growth mentality and actions that go with it. So all of these businesses and organizations should contribute towards that and not leave the burden on the homeowners.
I wonder how you feel about things like major companies coming into Dorchester County, Somerville area, District 98. We're seeing some pushback on things like data centers and other parts of South Carolina. And then there's this competing idea of we want business, but we also don't want to lose sort of the outdoor nature aspect of where we live. How do you balance these corporate interests and these business interests with also the interests of folks that have lived there all their lives, and they say we don't want all of this development everywhere?
So That's three parts.
Oh, yeah.
One, we have to look at the economic opportunity that comes with it. So with these businesses comes opportunities for employment. We're looking at the infrastructure side in terms of the greenery, making sure that we have the conservation of our trees. We have to make sure that we're planning properly because, one, we don't want to incur additional flooding, which we're already dealing with anyway. We don't want to have the erosion that we need that could potentially cause additional health issues. And I'm not going to go into the medical side of it in terms of when the soil is not properly taken care of and how that impacts ourselves. Sure. But we just want to make sure that that infrastructure, the planning is done properly. But also, we're looking at opportunities, again, to put people to work, to give them an option in terms of how do we make our houses affordable. With these businesses coming in, again, with that growth pays for growth, having them to be held accountable for that economic stimulation as well.
I wonder if you have any particular position on the state government handing out large incentives to bring in big businesses. We've seen some pushback recently about some incentives that are offered to these massive corporations to build here. Mm-hmm. Do you think that we need to be incentivizing large companies with huge, tax breaks or tax deals to come to South Carolina?
When it comes to the incentivization, I would probably have to look at what's in that contract.
Sure.
Because are those tax breaks funding our schools? Mm-hmm. Are those tax breaks giving working families the opportunity to do what they need to do to survive and not pay these high rates? So we have to look at what's in the best interest of the people first.
So I've got a couple of sort of quick fire policy stances for you. If you just want to say whether or not you're in support or against, just a couple here. But, do you support dropping the state income tax to zero?
I believe that we should drop the state income tax so that way we can have more money in the pockets of working families. Now, I don't know if it's going to be completely at zero because then we have to look at other balances in terms of what that income tax can do because it may raise in other areas. So I think that we should have a lower income tax. I don't know if it's going to be completely at zero.
Yeah, it might be a little disingenuous to say we can afford everything while dropping the income tax to zero. We'll have to see how it plays out. Everybody seems to think it's possible. Do you support reforming how judges are selected in this state? Another big issue that we're seeing right now.
Yes, we definitely need to have mechanisms in place in terms of the judges that are being vetted and making sure that, again, what is in the best interest of the people.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that the governor should be the one selecting the judges and
No.
Who should be selecting judges?
I believe that the state representatives should be the ones responsible, and we should also have buy-in and feedback from the public as well.
Fair enough. What about supporting efforts to, further restrict abortion access? This is going to come up again this year.
So I do believe that women have the right to make decisions regarding their own bodies. The government should not be involved. That's a conversation between physicians and the individuals when it comes to that.
And I don't know if this is actually going to come up, but people seem to be talking about it. How do you feel about an SC Doge or a Doge SC-like committee designed to look at inefficiencies at the state government? Do we need an SC Doge?
I would probably have to look more into
Sure.
detail in terms of what exactly are they going to be doing, because they try to start one at the federal level, and how is that really working?
Yeah, fair enough. Well, everybody does have a pet project or a passion issue that they bring to the State House. What's yours?
Well, there's several. And again, I would have to look at, number one, which committee am I going to be serving? Two, we have to make sure that we're taking care of our veterans, we're taking care of our families, we're taking care of our children and education. So those would be some of the top priorities. And also, again, when it comes to women, as it relates to our bodies and making those decisions, we need to make sure that we have the opportunity to have that conversation with our physicians. So those would be probably the top.
Sure. Now, there is obviously a race for governor happening that's going to be after your election. But you do have a D next to your name, and Democrats are going to be competing for that governor's race. Do you think that there's a shot that a Democrat could win a statewide race for governor?
Yes.
Really? What gives you hope?
What gives me hope is people want change. People want to see a difference, and Republicans have been holding the spot for over 20 years, and nothing has really changed. Things have gotten worse. So if you're ready for change, then it's time to flip the seat, get the change, and have new leadership in.
Well, we'll have to see how much infighting knocks Republican candidates down before the election in next November. Let's give you one more shot, though, at the voters here. What's your closing message? What do they need to know about you? Why should they vote for you?
Sure. If you are ready for change, if you are ready for new leadership, then when you go to the polls December 22nd through January 2nd or even January 6th, vote for Dr. Sonja Ogletree Satani. I'm the best candidate. I'm the best choice to take care of you, your family, and to make sure that we have what we need in the State House, and that's common sense. And that's what I'm bringing to the table.
All right, Dr. Sonja Ogletree Satani, thank you so much.
Thank you.